What's good, bodybuilding fam? This is Brant with Classic Physique Collective. Tonight, I'm going to be bringing you a preview of the 2022 Lenda Murray Savannah Pro in men's classic physique. The show begins Saturday, September 10th at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with prejudging, and will wrap up at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with finals. You can catch the show at the Muscle and Fitness live stream. I've got that linked in my Instagram bio as well as down below in the description of this video. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the lineup. We've got 22 guys competing in the Savannah Pro this weekend. So we'll start out just running through the whole lineup, then I'll get to my top 5. So starting out, we've got Armando Aman, Adeli Anara, Gergely Arnold, Sali Bam Bakaj, Brett Bumgarner, Blake Corse, Wayne Freeman, Abdul Malik Gibbs, Jeff Hollenbeck, Tony Harris, Jim Holcomb, Chris Hunt, Alan Kendrick, Jared Keys, Vince Krause, Ricardo Martinez, Will Sage, Laconia Seymour, Anthony Stevens, Bennett Streets, Daniel Sullivan, and Tim Tevin. That's your lineup for the 2022 Savannah Pro. I'm going to jump into my top 5 in no particular order, then pick my winner. So starting out with my top 5, I've got Adeli Anara. He finished second at the Tampa Pro behind Valentin Petrov, who's already qualified for the 2022 Olympia with his win at the Southwest Muscle Classic last weekend. So we're going to go to Adeli's NPC Universe routine. He just went pro at NPC Universe this year, jumped into his first pro show at Tampa, took second place. Very impressive physique with this guy. His shape is what he hangs his hat on. His front double bicep and his back double bicep, I think, are his best poses, immediately followed by his ab and thigh. Got lots of density in his hamstrings and his glutes, as well as width in his back. I think his top line is very solid, very even across the top. His quads have so much detail, and his quad sweeps are just enormous. This dude's got a complete physique all around. So I've got Adeli Anara in my top 5. Next up, we've got Jeff Hollenbeck. And Jeff actually went pro 3 years ago in middleweight bodybuilding. So you know this dude is going to have a lot of muscle. And the thing that Jeff is always known for is bringing impressive conditioning. Such a detailed back. You can see everything. You can see the teres major and minor. It's just an anatomy chart. The teres major and minor, the rhomboids, the Christmas tree. Like, this dude is peeled to the bone. Striated glutes. He's got the cuts in his hamstrings. Just vascular everywhere. Jeff is not playing around when it comes to showing up to shows in shape. So I got Jeff Hollenbeck in my top 5. Next up, I've got a guy who finished second last week at the Southwest Muscle Classic. That's Will Sage out of Austin, Texas. He has a lot of detail in his muscle. Very, very impressive muscle maturity. I think this is his best pose right here. His ab and thigh with a bit of a, he almost brings in like a crab most muscular type of twist to it. With, he likes to press his hand into his side on the ab and thigh. Like you'll see here, these are stage photos right here. So what he'll do is for his ab and thigh, he'll take one hand back, put it behind his head, then press his other hand into his hip to make that anterior and medial deltoid just really like pop. Especially the medial delt, you can see that from the front when you just jut your hand into your hip like that. So you're getting a lot of 3D in the shoulders on this side, and then you get the feathering of the obliques, which is nutty. It looks insane. And then the detail in his outer sweep in the quads just caps off the pose. An absolutely beautiful pose, and I don't think a lot of guys can compete with this pose specifically. I don't think many guys are touching this right here. I've got Will Sage in my top 5. Next up, a guy who I have followed for a couple of years now, before he went pro, is Blake Course out of Burlington, Ontario, Canada. Blake went pro at Canadian Nationals last year and followed up that performance with a 4th place finish at the 2021 Toronto Pro. So this is Blake 5 days out. He's coached by Patrick Torr, so you know he's going to be bringing the heat, especially from a conditioning standpoint. And if you look at the detail and the striations in the outer sweep of his quad, that's just crazy looking. And my favorite feature of Blake's front shot is just how his lats tie in to his waist. I think Blake has one of the best shapes in the entire IFBB Pro League from the front. Just an incredible V-taper, and that's what makes him just so classic look. The thing is, classic is a look. It's not a division, it's a look. And this guy has the look. These Canadians, I don't know what's in the water up there, but they're bringing it in classic physique. I've got Blake Course in my top 5. And rounding out my top 5, I got Chris Hunt out of Dallas, Texas. A 2020 Olympian, the only Olympian in this lineup. Am I hinting at something? I don't know. Dude has that X-frame from just how far his quads kick out, and then just how his lats tie into his waist, and then this asymmetric front double. Just a beautiful shot. That's just money. No other way to put it, that's just money. The thing about Chris is he always shows up in shape. He brings just beautiful posing. He always comes prepared with his posing, and he's one of the most consistent guys I think I've seen on stage. So I personally expect Chris to really bring his best, especially after having a year off. I think Chris is going to come in with more size, and he's going to come in sharp, and I have Chris Hunt in my top 5. So in addition to my top 5, I've got 3 wild cards who I think could break their way into the top 5. I certainly would not be surprised. Those 3 guys are Armando Amon, Jared Keys, and Vince Krause. I think Armando Amon brings a lot to the table from a muscularity standpoint. He has big, full, round muscle bellies and always shows up peeled. So he took 4th at Tampa, which is saying something because that was a hell of a lineup. So I think Armando Amon could very well break his way into the top 5 here. Jared Keys, another guy. He shows up in better shape every single show and continues to improve as the season goes on. He finished 3rd at the Warrior Classic in Richmond, Virginia earlier this year, finished 5th at a pretty challenging lineup last week at the Southwest Muscle Classic. So I think Jared's gonna give people a run for their money this week. If he finishes outside the top 5, it's not gonna be far out of it. And then Vince Krause, he's a guy who his side shots can compete with anybody's in this lineup. Vince always shows up in shape, always. So I think what it really comes down to with Vince is going to be the side-by-side comparisons with a lot of these guys and comparing their shape. Because Vince has the muscularity, he's going to be in condition. It's just a matter of, does the shape stack up with some of these guys who are known for their shape? So those are 3 wild cards I think you should watch out for. That's my top 5 right there for the Lenda Murray Savannah Pro. In no particular order, gonna sum it back up. I've got Adeli Anara, Jeff Hollenbeck, Blake Course, Will Sage, and Chris Hunt. That's my top 5. And my pick to win it and to qualify for the 2022 Mr. Olympia is going to be the only Olympian in this lineup, Mr. Consistent, and that's Chris Hunt. I don't see anybody in this lineup competing with Chris's shape. This guy has no holes in his physique. He's hard to beat. And though he is not a top 10 Olympian, I think he can get there this year. That's how good I think he is. And he's proven to be a guy who is not going to lose to very many people. The only thing he may ever lose to somebody on is going to be size, because he's not a taller guy. And it seems to me that, you know, especially with like the Olympia and everything and seeing who the top 5 are, the taller guys tend to get the nod. But this is not a show with a bunch of tall guys, so I don't see anybody beating Chris in this show. So you heard it here. Those are my predictions for the 2022 Lenda Murray Savannah Pro. And you should check out the live stream. That's in my bio, again, also down in the description below. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you like my content and you want updates on all the newest classic physique news, check out my Instagram at CPC Bodybuilding. I want to thank you all for watching, and make sure you check out the live stream this weekend. Enjoy.